Hello, my name is Russell Myers. Welcome to Issues Unite. All right, so you have probably, if you watch Western media, heard that Russia has retreated in the Kherson region. So the thing is, yeah, you'll hear this in Western media, which is acting as a stenographer for the Ukrainian regime. And this is not the great, victory that they're going to make this out to be. There's a whole lot of reasons for this. So let me go straight into it. And all right, first of all, Russia did not have, and Donbass did not have a great buildup of forces in this region. Basically, they had enough forces there to hold that area. And no, they were not prepared for a massive offensive. So when they saw that the size of this offensive in Kherson, Kharkov. This is Kharkov, not Kherson. I'll get to Kherson in a minute. This is Kharkov. They basically had enough forces to hold it. When they saw the size of the offensive, they decided that it was a better choice to do a tactical retreat from this area than to lose the manpower and equipment and the collateral loss of human life, civilian lives. It just wasn't worth it. This is not the first time that this has happened in Kharkov. Earlier this year, Russian forces had fallen back in Kharkov for 2 weeks, and then they took that region and then more at that time. As these forces, which was really not many Russian forces, it was mostly a, basically scouting operation from Russia, and most of the forces there were Donbass forces, who obviously retreated as well. As they retreated, they also evacuated any civilians that wanted to withdraw from that area, evacuate from that area. For the ones that remain, they told them, go through your house, go through your cell phones, and erase any apps, any text messages. I mean, to a large degree, they just told them to wipe their phones. The first thing that Ukraine said when they took this area was that they were going to be searching out any civilians that showed any signs of being pro-Russian, of having helped any Russian forces or Donbass forces, etc., which means that what they're going to do is raid people's houses, go through their phones. They're going to conduct mass arrests, and Ukrainian intelligence is notorious. It's been reported on for decades. Just how brutal they are. They torture people. They disappear people. If you say anything that is not just bowing down to the Ukrainian regime, you are considered pro-Russian, and you will be interrogated, tortured, imprisoned, etc. So this is not good news for the people that are remaining there. So tens of thousands of people did evacuate eastward. Anyway, Kharkov is not a great strategic region. Let me go in here and start showing this part. All right, so this area up here, where the gray is, that is the area in question that Russia and DPR forces withdrew from. They pulled back over to here. Well, hey, there's one thing about it. Okay, look, this part up here, that is Russia, right up there beyond that grayish area. So this is the Kharkov region right here. So there's nothing all that strategically valuable in this area. I mean, even if you even look, there's all of this red. These are all areas where Russian forces are actually bombing. And I've shown this map a number of times, and you see a lot more of this south of Kharkov. That alone tells you what has been going on there. I've shown this over and over. And this is a pro-Ukrainian website. Yeah, there is another one I could use, but this one is just easier on the visualizations. There's just not much there that they even need to hold on to. They want to seize this, and hold this because it is part of the Donbass region, the original Donbass region. Yeah. Where is it? Okay. I mean, look, right here. Zoom in there, if I can get there. Donetsk. Okay? That tells you right there it's part of the Donetsk region. All right? So, anyway, they are far more concerned with the Kherson region, which is down here. Why are they more concerned with the Kherson region? Because it's more tactically important. Why is it tactically important? For a whole bunch of reasons. First of all, you got access to ports down here. That's one reason. And when Ukraine keeps on talking about how they're going to take Crimea, well, this is Crimea down here. So for them to take Crimea means they have to take this entire region to get to the land bridge to take Crimea. Even if they come by ocean, which is highly unlikely to happen, they would, even if they managed to come down here to Crimea, they're going to have to take this entire, peninsula down here. And then they're still going to they're going to be trapped. Because Russian forces can come right down here and get right to them. So anyway, In the, let me get back here. Even in the Kharkov withdrawal, that what came with such a heavy loss to Ukraine. They, in this offensive, they lost 4,000 dead and 8,000 injured. This is in addition to the Kherson offensive, where they lost a lot more, and that one was a complete failure. Of course, you're going to keep on hearing about Kharkov because they don't want to talk about the massive loss and Kherson. So, they 12,000 out of action in Kharkov alone. Probably double that many in Kherson. So that's 20 to 30,000 in a matter of losses in a matter of days. And that's not counting all the equipment that they've lost. And I've been pointing out that they're just throwing their forces into the breach for PR victories. That's what Kherson is. I mean, Kharkov is. It's a PR victory. That's pretty much it. But it may be something else. Ukraine has reported for quite some time that they are losing 500 to 1,000 troops per day to death and injury. 500 to 1,000 per day. That's 30,000 a month. And these two offensives put that on steroids. I've been saying that eventually they're just going to run out of forces. They're talking about training 10,000 a month. Well, if you're losing 30,000 a month and you're training 10,000 a month, you've still lost 20,000. They're running out of resources in all respect. Human resources, soldiers, equipment, they're running out. The New Atlas compared this to the German Ardennes offensive just before it was the final offensive before Germany admitted defeat. And there's a very good point to make for this, which he didn't go into. Very well. What this may well be is that Ukraine is about ready to admit defeat, but before they do so, they want to try and seize as much territory as they can so that they think that when they come to the negotiating table, they can say, well, we're in charge, or we're occupying this much territory. So when we make this agreement, then we get to keep everything that we're occupying at this time. And that is not going to happen. I think that this was Ukraine's absolute last major push. They just don't have the resources to do another one. So it's really only a matter of time now. And attrition. I in my last video on this subject, I talked about this being a war of attrition. Even without a major offensive, they're still losing 500 to 1,000 soldiers a day. in positional fighting, just trying to hold one spot. Even though, for the most part, the Russia DPR forces are not even trying to advance. They're just waiting for, they're just holding the positions, waiting for the Ukrainian forces to collapse, ultimately. The last thing that Russia did, as they retreated, was also to attack communications, and I understand this was across Ukraine, communications, electricity generation, which also takes out water, and that has a demoralizing effect on the support for this conflict on the Ukrainian side. You know, Ukraine is calling those terrorist attacks. No, what you've heard about these explosions and stuff in Crimea, those are terrorist attacks. Because it offers them no tactical advantage. You're attacking things that are in the middle of civilian populations. If you're hitting communications and power generating stations, well, those are generally not right in the center of population areas. If you're using targeted strikes, you're not bombing city centers, but you're taking out the power and the water to those city centers and the communications. It could ultimately lead to mass panic. Anyway, so compare what you're talking about with why is Ukraine hitting Crimea when I've already shown they can't take Crimea. They couldn't take Kherson. How are they going to take Crimea? An entire peninsula. It's just not going to happen. So those are terrorist attacks. Taking out communications and electricity is normal military tactic. Anyway, this isn't going to turn out the way that it's being presented in the West. It's probably only a matter of days before Russia decides they're going to come back into Kherson, but that all depends on how much they actually want to commit any forces to that. But they're going to come back in with a far more overwhelming force than they had there, which was just, a security force, basically. So when they come back in, they're going to come back in hard. And the Ukrainian forces that are there now, basically Ukraine is going to keep largely a security force there now. So this is going to be back and forth. Once they take an area, they're not going to keep the same level of force that they had there because those forces are going to be needed somewhere else. And with, like I showed you, not much military activity going on there right now, you don't see a whole lot of fighting. There's some, but not much fighting going on up here. Anyway, so that's it for this one. Share this video. Talk about these subjects. Let's hope that this is over soon. I want it to be over. I have wanted a peaceful arrangement on this for years before this ever began, and ever since February, I've still been wanting a peaceful settlement to this, and that's where it's really going to have to end, is at the negotiating table. It won't end anywhere but at the negotiating table. So if you're for peace, that's what you're in favor of, because you're not going to crush Russia. Russia has gotten economically stronger from this. They've expanded trade. They're making money off of the sanctions. And now look at what Europe is facing for the winter. And maybe for years. Does this make any sense? Or would it make sense to sit down at the negotiating table? All right, share this video. Talk about these subjects. If you can afford it, please donate whatever you can to help expand this channel and my presidential campaign. And I will catch you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.